Look guys, my life sucks. Bills are stacking higher than my pity, I'm working 3 jobs excluding content creation, and I'm barely scraping by. And the worst part about all of this is that I haven't even logged into Wuwa today to claim my daily astrites, and despite all of that, you all are going through the same, right? Or at least that's what I tell myself. But after every long day and after every rough morning, there's one thing that I look forward to, and one thing that you all look forward to. A reason to go on, a reason to keep pushing forward, and that reason is the escape of a video game. I don't have to sit back and work the same job day after day just to keep a roof over my head, and I can instead sit back and work the same job in Persona to keep a roof over my head and not get kicked out of the attic. And the thing about gaming, gacha gaming, mobile gaming, general gaming, just any gaming, is that it's really the most interactive and perfect form of media ever created. You can not only play through an entire story, but you could play as the characters, form relationships with your friends, actually become a completely new person. But just as you begin to dive into that next fantasy world, just as you lean into that romantic interest, you realize that none of this is real. You aren't some main character ready to overthrow the government and make society whole again. You aren't some bug crawling through the depths of a nest to unlock every secret, and you damn sure aren't some fiery, sexy queen about to ignite this entire pool. But when you return to reality, you begin to realize that you can't game forever. And the worst part about it is that the older you get, the more responsibilities, more burdens, and the more less time you have. You realize that gaming is just not a sustainable activity, and someday you will have to put down that controller, that mouse, that app, and lay it down for good. Or do you? Voidenigma here, and as I crafted this script, I realized how far I've come from a child to who I am today, and you all should feel the same. I had a really tough childhood, and games kept me sane. That tough childhood has followed me into my adulthood, and while I wished to escape that for good, games were the closest things that I had to that escape, and that's a really powerful thing. The downside to that is that many people don't have time to start a game, let alone finish one. I could talk about how gaming did more to me than any instructor, teacher, or mentor ever could, but games changed my life and my views on the world, and it shaped me into who I am today. This is how I became the Voidenigma. And I don't mean that in a cheesy way either. The person I am today is seriously contributed to all of the games that I've played. My moral compass, what's right, what's wrong, problem solving, preservation, those are all things that I learned from some of my favorite video games. You see, there's a funny word that isn't really thrown around enough, and honestly is probably because of how selfish we are as humans. And you know, after enduring such hardship in my life alone and having to see so much wrong be done to so many different people, empathy is a powerful thing to have in your back pocket. Think back to your favorite video game that you played and really enjoyed, the first adventure that you experienced in the life of another character. It was exhilarating to complete these quests or adventures, right? But what you really learned was how to overcome challenges and deal with their problems. You experienced the story of another character through their lens. You quite literally took steps in their shoes, and it really opens up your eyes. One such example is Pokemon. Everyone's played or heard of a Pokemon game, right? The Pokemon stories were never good, but they were damn compelling for one reason. The atmosphere, the environment, the characters, they just felt right. Ignore the fact that I said like 4 different reasons, but you were given the task of becoming the Pokemon champion, and you were dropped into the world where bad things happen, and you are the person to help solve those issues. You fix problems and you solve disasters, and a sense of what's right and wrong is direct. You work hard to earn those badges, and you realize just how much effort went into your adventure when it's over. When you see your Pokemon flash across the screen at the Hall of Fame, you remember how it all started, whom you shared that adventure with, and look at how far you've come. You began to care about that one lady who had her Pokemon stolen. You began to care about your rival who got his ass beat by the boss of the enemy organization. You began to care about the Pokemon that you caught, the memories that you gained with them, the clutches that they pulled off. Even a game like Pokemon can teach you to be a good human, and that branch of empathy that grows into a forest of humbleness can start with a game that you played as a child. But what happens when games get a bit more serious? No matter who you are, you have experienced stress in your life. Some can overcome stress and stressors easily, while others are trapped in that stress permanently. I always question whether I myself have escaped from that stress hole that I once lived in, but at least I can say that I'm in a better place now. This quote-unquote stress hole is trauma. And living and overcoming that trauma can be the hardest things that one can do in your entire life. While the person experiencing trauma in their childhood, or perhaps are experiencing trauma in their adulthood, because let's be real, life is tough, and often people are not always there to help you out, but for me, at least the game helped me survive that moment of trauma. Not everyone can experience a fun game while all hell is exploding behind them, but I was lucky enough to have access to the cheapest of devices to play a few of these games. Games like The World Ends With You, Kingdom Hearts, Fire Emblem. There are many examples, but these stories of these characters, the actions they took, the losses that ensued, and the sacrifices that they made, they really made me. I could relate to the trauma that these characters experienced, and while their stories and lives were far different from mine, I could draw from those stories as strengths to push forward in my life. It felt surreal to listen to a made-up character and feel empathy for their story and their struggles. That's what built the empathy within me to even understand other people's lives and form relationships with other people. A phrase that I'll remember for the rest of my life is, "The world ends with you." A phrase spoken by Hanakoma in, of course, the game, The World Ends With You, are words that I clung to as a child as I overcame the trauma in my life and as I evolved as a person. I still have it in the back of my head to this day, and for those of you who play the game, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. But as an adult, with more and more responsibilities by the day and more issues with society, politics, and just life, the time for escaping games is null. Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse? Or some kind of punishment? I often think about the God who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever get the chance to kill him. This is one of my favorite quotes from any video game, and it's spoken by 2B from the game NieR Automata. An action RPG turned into psychological enlightenment, and that opening quote really hit home. As you become older, you have less and less time to dedicate to video games. Long stories and campaigns that you normally finished in 1 week have been sitting in your catalog for years now. Rent, electricity, internet, car note, bill after bill comes your way as you move into adulthood, and if you're like me, you don't have anyone to rely on to pay for all of these amenities. That's not even the worst part of this, however, because it's getting harder and harder to just survive. Inflation is at an all-time high, the world seems to be headed towards chaos, and I can't even trust Google to give me an accurate answer anymore. And the worst part about all of this is that I can't game like I used to. So when is it time to put down the game and focus on simply living? Because life won't give you time to make that choice. It just forces that choice onto you. The very things that saved you as a child and shaped you into the person that you are today, the very core that is fundamentally who you are, is something that you're going to have to give up when you reach the final stages of your life. It's ironic, isn't it? You still manage to play 1 to 2 games a year, but never what you used to. The last open world campaign that you completed was in 2015. How can you imagine picking up something new like The Witcher 4, for example? It's a sad reality when we face what we have to give up that makes us whole, or what was fun, but responsibilities don't stop and you have to adapt to what life throws at you. Those stories that you carried as a child, those stories that became your core, they're still a part of you. It's not so easy to lose a core part of your soul, and the love that you once felt for video games is still there. Remember that life is tough, and those challenges that you face, overcome them. Beat the boss of your own story, and remember that you have a game to get home to, because the reality of the situation is, to give up on gaming is to give up on yourself. So even if it's once a day, once a week, once a month, dedicate that valuable time to a video game that you cherish and escape from the stress and live, at least a little. And if even that isn't enough, then hang in there. It gets better. It always does. Thank you guys for watching. Life has been tough for me lately, and I've been hanging on by a thread, so I really need to remind myself why I keep pushing forward. We should be back onto the normal content schedule, so stick around with the subscribe and make sure to like the video. This has been Void, Enigma, out.